Hello, and welcome to the third explainer in Sprint for PR's explainer series, Move Fast and Break the Far Right. This video has been put together in response to Zack Polanski's announcement that he intends to run for leader of the Green Party. He is getting considerable media coverage, and he's an excellent communicator who appears to be emphasizing Green's position to the left of Labour. He is someone who could take a significant proportion of the Labour vote and who could even reach previously disaffected non-voters by taking strong stances against inequality in the far right. Zack also is a very prominent supporter of proportional representation and has in the past apparently been very enthusiastic about progressive alliance ideas. If any UK politician is likely to embrace the Sprint for PR approach, it appears Zack is our best bet. It's important we realize that the Green Party is in a much stronger position than is implied by standard voting intention polls. In Bristol Central last year, the Greens achieved a 28.2% swing from Labour to take the seat. If that level of swing could be achieved around the country at the next election, they would overtake Labour in all but 4 seats in England and Wales. Their swings to take their 2 Conservative-held targets were both even greater at over 30%. When the Greens set their minds to something, they are clearly phenomenally effective campaigners. If we look at preferential polls instead of voting intention polls, the Green Party share of first preferences is on average 10% higher than from voting intention polls, showing that tactical voting considerations cut Green Party support in half and enormously reduce their profile as a result. In contrast, Labour support appears to be inflated by 10% by tactical voting. There hasn't been a preferential poll published since July 2024, but if the average adjustments were applied to current voting intention polling, then the Greens would be clear in second place on first preferences, with Labour dead last of the 5 main UK parties. Tactical voting and voting intention polls that reflect tactical voting are holding the Green Party back enormously, so the Green Party needs a strategy to eliminate tactical voting. Let's consider the 2024 makeup of Parliament. Labour in red have a massive majority. The Lib Dems in orange have a very healthy 72 seats. Then we have the Greens, Plaid, the SNP, all Scottish seats are indicated with the cross, Independents, Conservatives, Reform, the Speaker, and the multiple parties in Northern Ireland. At the next election, there is a real danger of the Conservatives and/or Reform sweeping into power, especially if they do some sort of last-minute electoral pact, as covered in our second explainer video. This outcome would be disastrous for the country. If the Green Party wanted to ensure this did not happen, they could stand aside defensively in 250 Labour seats in England and Wales, and maybe 70 to 80 Liberal Democrat seats and targets. This is not the strategy suggestion we are making, but it would be a viable strategy for forcing a hung parliament, likely concessions on proportional representation, Europe, immigration, and numerous other important issues. This would be a better strategy for the Green Party than splitting the vote everywhere, making more gains, but being helpless to respond to a last-minute right-wing pact and watching Nigel Farage walk smugly into Downing Street. The shifting stance strategy is infinitely better than both of these options. Let's say there are 100 Labour seats that Reform or the Conservatives couldn't win in a million years. Certainly not if they were being contested by a serious party of the left or centre-left. The Green Party can stand in Labour's safest seats, saying, it is safe to vote for the Greens here, Reform and the Tories can't win these seats. Preferential polling indicates we deserve at least 100 seats in Parliament. What have Labour done to deserve your continued support? The Green Party would likely be able to take these seats quite easily, certainly if they are being led by someone who emphasizes progressive, anti-fascist politics, and if they are standing aside for other progressives elsewhere. What would make it even easier to take these seats would be a promise to further expand their stand-asides into the marginal constituencies on the centre-right. If the Green Party can be fairly certain of these 100 wins, they can stand aside for 100 more Labour candidates and erect a really robust defence against any last-minute right-wing pact, while still keeping Labour on a leash and well below the numbers needed for a majority. If you are a Labour voter faced with a pitch of, if the Green Party look likely to win here, we'll stand aside for another Labour candidate in a marginal seat and ensure the far right are kept out of government. That is surely far more attractive than another Labour majority government that governs with far right voters firmly at the front of their mind. The Green Party can invite the Liberal Democrats to follow the same strategy in such a way that both parties essentially hold Labour in the palms of their hand. They can expand or contract their stand-aside strategies and Labour's likely parliamentary representation according to polling data, and whether they reckon Labour deserve to be a senior or junior coalition partner after the next election, or if they deserve to be a coalition partner at all. This graph shows the modelled effect of the Green Party winning Labour's 100 safest seats, standing aside with the Liberal Democrats in Labour's next 250 most winnable seats in England and Wales, and both parties deliberately splitting the Labour vote in Labour-held seats and targets beyond these 350 seats. The modelling made a presumption of uniform swing, 100% transfer of votes from the Lib Dems and Greens to Labour, where they have stood aside, as implied by Andrew Blick's research for the Constitution Society, an extra 5% reduction in the Labour vote, where Greens and Lib Dems are deliberately splitting their vote, and no seats changing hands in Scotland. The Greens and Liberal Democrats would both potentially benefit enormously from a hung parliament with Labour as the largest party after the next election. This modelling demonstrates that it is possible to enormously expand the range of swings away from Labour that would result in this outcome. As the Greens become a viable change option that is far more hopeful than the change option of the Conservatives and Reform, their poll rating grows, they expand further into Labour territory, and they can start to think about Conservative targets as well, and being the largest party in Parliament. With Labour going backwards quickly in Scotland, the Scottish Greens and SNP could eliminate Labour north of the border and put the Green leader in a strong position to be Prime Minister. The shifting stand strategy is the controlled path to electoral reform after the next election. It is a path without the unpredictable chaos of 5 parties standing in every seat in the country, but no one should want to see this strategy delivered. First past the post is a ridiculous electoral system, and we shouldn't have to rip the absolute piss out of it in order to force change. It would be much better to show this future to the Labour Party, ask politely for electoral reform to the single transferable vote, and allow them to govern the rest of their term according to their values, rather than the delusional nonsense of Morgan McSweeney. We must ask Labour to allow the voters to rank their political preferences and to rank the fascists last. The last 6 months have been deeply, deeply troubling to many who follow politics around the world. All we ask is that our enormously progressive parliament lead the way in the fight back against far-right populism. We want you to let us rank the fascists last. We want you to lead the way in defeating them, not clear the way for their ultimate victory. For the Greens, I hope the shifting stand strategy is the means to force electoral reform in this Parliament and to permanently shift the anchor of British politics in a progressive direction. If Zack Polanski wants to be bold, this is a very eye-catching means of doing so. Bold strategies don't often hold appeal to the electorate all the way from the left to the pro-Europe centre-right, but the electoral reform outcome this could all be leading to might allow new parties to spring up in those particularly neglected political spaces. It really would be a coup if these efforts could be supported by people like Rory Stewart, Dominic Grieve and Anna Soubry, as well as Owen Jones and George Monbiot.